is Tuesday, the 22nd of April, and in this educational video we will have a look at the market from a technical analysis point of view, and there's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intending doing this. This is for educational purposes only. We'll start with Nvidia that was down 5%, another 5% yesterday. It is still above its low here from earlier this month at 86.62, but it seems very heavy. There is negative sentiment, RSI back below 40 threshold. There's no divergence on the RSI, meaning we could see lower levels below the lows here from 7th of April. If it does that, well, then there's risk down to around 76, 75. And it's currently trading in this falling channel here. So let's see here the next couple of days. We can see all moving average now. 100 is very close to break below the 200 moving average. So another dead cross here. A bit between the little bit the longer than medium term and the longer term breaking below here. We actually had the 55 down here already, giving a hard time of pressure. So there's no sign that Nvidia will turn around to establish a bullish trend anytime soon. Tesla 212 still key support, as you can see here, really key level. If it closes below that, well, then all bets are off. Then there could be a further downside potential. So let's see about that. Or can it bounce off once again from just around the 212? That'll be key to follow here the next few weeks. Key indices, we had S&P 500 yesterday testing the minor support here at 5,115, bounced from it and closed a little bit above it. That would be key here the next couple of days. Close below, well, then we are likely to see lower levels, possibly down to 48 or 4,600. Negative sentiment on the RSI and no divergence on both daily and weekly. Here pre-market though, we are up a little bit, about 1% bouncing here pre-market, but it's still in a bearish trend. We have a dead cross here also a few days ago, just before Easter, between the 55 and 200 moving average. We have to be noted, of course, these are the slacking indicators, and they're slow moving, of course. So a lot of the action has taken place already when you see that dead cross there. On the Nasdaq 100, same picture. We also had here before Easter a dead cross between the 55 and the 200 moving average. It's not a bullish sign, to say the least. Market will be depressed for some time. We pushed lower, 17,800, closed just above that. Here pre-market up about 1%, bounced. Let's see if that can stick. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, obviously. No divergence indicated. We could see lower levels on Nasdaq 100, but it seems like a lot of action, a lot of fighting going on in this range here between 17.5 and 19,000 and a bit. We have the Dow Jones down 2.5%. Also massive sell-off there. Resumed downtrend also. Negative sentiment on the RSI. Persisting and confirmed below 40 threshold. Let's see here before market open, also a bounce of 1%, but let's see if that can actually hold. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then I think we'll see a push lower and possibly down to 35,684. European markets are about to wake up after Easter break. The EuroStoxx50 though, before Easter closed below the resistance here at 49.87, and let's see where are we poised to open. We are set to open lower, so but as we can see here, that's the EU50 CFD that is currently it opened below the minor support here at 48.74. Stronger support down here at 47.23. That will be key, and then resistance here at 5,068. DAX also quite interesting. Closed below the resistance at 21,302. and it was actually promised from the opening, but it closed below. So let's see if it can actually close above today. It doesn't seem like it. Just a quick look here, we can see we are actually below 21,525. That is key. So looking back here at the DAX cash index, it's likely to push lower or drop further, despite the fact that RSI actually closed above its falling trend line here. But if RSI closes back below 40 threshold and below the trend line, expect selling pressure to resume. On the forex market and euro dollar, we had euro dollar spiking higher above 115 yesterday, trading just around that level at the moment. There is a slight divergence here on the RSI, as you can see. I think if we change this to blue color, then it may be a little bit easier to see. 75.88 needs to close above that to cancel that. So we are a little bit stretched here short term, but medium term you can see there's potential higher to 117, 118 possibly. No divergence on the weekly RSI, indicating likely higher levels. You can also see all the moving averages here on the weekly turning around, and will support higher euro dollar levels on the medium term. Cable sterling dollar just below resistance here at 134.35. You will see that's the previous peak here from September last year that we're testing. There is a great likelihood that we will push higher. This is not an advice or anything, but RSI, there's no divergence as it seems, and the way you can see that is, let's see some of this, it's just spiking above it, and let's just then you can see here what I do. You can put trend lines and all that on the RSI just as well on the actual market. It is indicating cable is likely to push higher towards 137.5. Euro sterling has been stalling a bit for quite some time in this range here between 85.19 and up till around 86 and a quarter. It needs to break high, but I think it will bounce further towards 87. Selling pressure in dollar yen keeps going on, but now it's testing the key strong support here at 140 and a quarter. It's dipped a little bit below. If it really takes it out, then we are looking at 138, 137 in this range here. Where we also have, you can see here on the weekly chart, we also have the 200 weekly moving average coming up, giving some support. So really key levels at the moment. Also testing this falling trend line there. We are a little bit stretched, but there's no divergence on the RSI, so it seems like we could see dollar yen pushing lower in the coming days and possibly weeks. It is basically the only yen pair that is really moving that we are looking at. We can see euro yen still in this range here between 164 and a bit and 158.30. It's a wide range, but that's because we have the 55 coming up here, 100 here, but then we have the 200 moving average coming there. So there is a battle going on between the medium to a longer term trend. The same here on the weekly. You have the 55 up here, but then you have the 200 the 100 coming up there. So there's a battle going on. So at the moment it is without direction, just a lot of noise, a lot of volatility. We have Aussie yen could be in a correction mode. Negative sentiment on the RSI should send it lower. First step should be 89.35, but possibly down to around 88 down here. The sterling yen, also a lot of noise, a lot of volatility, but without really moving anywhere. But all moving averages start declining, indicating we should see lower levels. You can see now the 21 has broken below the 55, so we also have a dead cross there. So the underlying trend is down, also as illustrated by the negative sentiment on the daily RSI. Aussie dollar stalling a little bit, but it is in a bullish trend and should be able to push to at least the 200 moving average and also up to 65.5, 65.70. Positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating just that. We can also see here the 55 moving average started to, or is actually rising, 21 coming up here. So I think we'll see after a little bit of pause, it will push higher. The dollar Canada, excuse me, dollar Canada seems a bit heavy, but look what's happening here. We have the RSI not supporting lower levels. It will be key here the next couple of days. How will this react if we actually get it? I know we have a negative day so far today, but if it actually ends up with a positive day, then we could have a bottom reversal pattern, or at least bottom reversal could just be a correction. So let's see about that. But if it takes out the lows here from today and yesterday, well, then I think we'll see a push down towards 137, 136 and a half. On sterling Canada in a bullish trend, it just needs to be confirmed by RSI closing above 60 threshold. If that scenario plays out, well, then I think we'll also see a break of the resistance here at 186.56 and possibly higher. The Swiss crosses, EURUSD still trading sideways, a little bit of bouncing mode, still negative sentiment on the RSI, minor divergence here. You can see the RSI is rising there. But the market actually moves lower, so we could see a bounce up to 93.77, maybe 94, maybe even a little bit higher here. But then we have all the moving average coming down, and it is quite interesting. We have the 200 about to break below the 100, and I think the 100 is basically flat, maybe a little bit falling. So that's a little bit weird of a dead cross, I would say. But it does occur, this thing, so let's see. But it means that there will be some resistance in this area here. The dollar Swiss has been hit by a massive sell-off lately. Spiked yesterday to the 138.2 projections at 80.35. Just a few pips from it, really. You see, yes. Bouncing a little bit, and maybe there's some divergence creeping in. You can see now the RSI is rising, the values are rising here. Market moved lower yesterday, so there's divergence, meaning we are in exhaustion mode, possibly. We're not in exhaustion scenario on the weekly, so maybe it will just be a little bit of a bounce. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then we are looking at levels below 80, possibly down to 79.30. And dollar index, no divergence on the RSI, as you can see here. RSI below a new low, and market a new low there. So we could see dollar index also pushing lower here towards 97.45 and 96.90, 95, just around 97. Gold, massive, touched 3,500, 3,500 in early trading this morning. As we speak, there is no divergence on the RSI, on the daily RSI, unless it really collapses today. But if we get a close above this horizontal line here, well, then there's no divergence on the daily RSI. There's also, as we speak, no divergence on the weekly if it closes above here. So if we are looking at the monthly, and let's just do that, let's zoom out so we can see everything. I've shown this to you before. We have this cup with a handle, and we have projected the difference from the bottom to the brim, and projected it up, and we could now be reached 200% of that. That's massive, actually. We also have this Fibonacci extension, and that's 200% of that. So 3,645, and it seems like that's where we are headed at the moment. Also on weekly RSI, monthly RSI, at the moment there's no divergence. It's canceling that, indicating likely higher levels on gold. So really strong move there. It is a bit stretched, but nevertheless it is a strong bullish trend. The silver still not really doing much. Just after this strong bounce here, still negative sentiment on the RSI, just below the 786 retracement, but it is above the cloud. So there's a lot of battle going on which way to move. I think what we could do, we could see, okay, is this the range that we are trading at the moment? So if it takes out 33.12 and a little bit more, then I think we'll see it push higher. If it takes out 32.08, and especially if it closes below the cloud again, well, then we could see it dropping back to around 31. Copper slowly crawling higher towards resistance and 61.8 retracement in the area around 483, 486. We are above the cloud, but also here RSI needs to close above 60 threshold to confirm further upside potential. Energy and crude oil just below resistance here, 65.22 on the WTI, could spike up to the 61 out of 65.73. But still negative sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating we could see lower levels. And if we were looking at the weekly, let's just switch back to the weekly, we are still in this falling trend here, but that was a massive bottom and reversal pattern. So let's see here, but it will take time before we actually turn it around altogether. If it takes out 60, it's about 45 to the downside, then the downtrend is likely to resume. Same picture almost here on the Brent, 68, 68, 68.95 was the 61.8 retracement. Could spike up to that. If it takes out 63.79, downtrend is likely to resume. We have European gas in a little bit of bouncing mode towards 36.75, possibly up to 39. If it takes out 32.5, well, then we are looking at levels around 30 and a bit, 30, 35. The US nat gas, as we talked about, that will drop to $3, and it actually dipped a little bit below it. Could bounce from here, but as we can see, negative sentiment. If it takes out this 297, well, then there is a potential further down to, and let's see where we could see there could be a little bit of support in the region around 256. US 10-year Treasury yields still trying to get back above the cloud, and if it does, and RSI closes back above 60 threshold, then I think we'll see a push higher on the 10-year. Then we could see it towards 460, 470 in these peaks area here. We can actually add a little horizontal line. We could see it up in this region here. If it does break higher, we could also add a Fibonacci to it, say, okay, what kind of energy would it give? Well, it would give something like towards, see here, 138.2 projection is also around 465. So that's not unlikely. We could see it pushing up to that level there if it can close above the cloud and above the 61.8 retracement. The 2-year is data is not that good, but it's a little bit depressed, meaning that we have a steepening of the yield curve apparently. So the 2-year yields are declining in Europe. And let's have a look at what's going on in Europe on the EU yields this morning. Still sliding lower towards 245, just a little bit above it. There's no support until 237 and 233 down here. So there's a risk down, or maybe a potential down, I would say. That would be good for us as consumers and a borrower, that the European yields are declining. In UK, 454 support here is key. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking at the 245, 247 down here in this region. And finally, moving on to Bitcoin, testing resistance at 88,800. If it breaks above, well, then we're looking at levels around 92, possibly up to 95,100, where we have some resistance. So there is a potential. What we can also do, we can say, okay, what will this give us of energy from the RSI? Well, 138.2 projection is at 93,870. So there is potential if it takes out that resistance here. Ethereum just basically sideways in between 1755 and and 1370, but very narrow range here. It did break out of the falling trend line, but just a sideways move, so not that interesting. We need to break above 1755 for establishing a bullish trend. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and talk to you later.